Hello and welcome back to the Sports Sermon. I'm Dylan Staggy.
I'm Jason Gotti. And I'm Jordan Majors.
And we are back today to go over the NBA draft. We went through and graded every single team that made a draft pick this year, all 28 of them, and gave them all grades. So first, let's start off with the Sixers. They drafted Markelle Fultz at number 1, Anze Pasicniks at 25, Jonah Bolden at 36, Sterling Brown at 46, and Matthias Lesort at 50. Jason, what did you give the Sixers?
So I gave them a B+. The Sixers got their guy, and I think they believe Fultz is a guy that can take him to the playoffs. I loved the Fultz pick for them, so that was fine. If it was just there, I'd give him an A. Where I was really confused was going 3 international players and 1 guy in Brown that can't shoot that well. They're in dire need of shooting, and getting Pasicnikas, which is a project, Bolden, who a lot of people like, but he's still not going to play this year, and then Lesort at 50. I don't know. I thought that this would be the year that they get a lot of guys in college that can really develop as shooters, especially at 25. There were shooters available like Josh Hart, and really try to make a run to get a solid 2-guard.
I have an A for the Sixers. I'm mainly looking at Markelle Fultz here. Took the best player in the draft. Ball might have more potential, but I feel like he's more of a risk, and you know what you're getting with Markelle. Pasicniks, I think he was also a solid pickup, and he will be a project, but he could be worth it.
But do you think the project makes sense for the Sixers?
I mean, they're
No.
not.
That's where I was like, I don't think it makes sense. Like, they're different, like the Knicks or like a Kings. Like, yeah, they can afford to make a project. The Sixers, they're so big on winning with their new feds that like I don't know. I just didn't think it made sense.
I mean, they're not going to win a ton this year, so why not?
I don't think they'll contend for the 8 seed.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think you can bring in 4 picks under 25, and because it just doesn't make sense.
I think Fultz is your starting 1. I really think that if you would have gotten Josh Hart at 25, someone I'm very high on, he could start at your 2. You're telling me Fultz, Hart, Simmons, Saric, and Embiid isn't making the playoffs in the East?
Yeah, I mean, that makes a lot more sense, I think.
Yeah, that's all I was saying.
Yeah, I agree with Jason. I also had a B+. I like the Markelle pickup. I think it was a good deal for the Sixers.
Mm-hmm.
But after that, I mean, not really much sense in a roster that's already filled with all those rookie contracts. No, not really a big need to bring in 4 more of them. I mean, you can go sell those picks or trade them for future assets or assets that can help you win now.
Yeah. So, next team, Dylan?
Yeah, Lakers at the number 2 pick drafted Lonzo Ball, Kyle Kuzma at 27, and made a trade 28 for 30 and 42, and at 30 picked Josh Hart, 42 picked Thomas Bryant.
All right, so at the draft, it was rocking when the Lakers picked Lonzo Ball. They got their guy. He is the guy Magic believes can bring them back into contention. I am a big fan of Kuzma, Hart, and Bryant as later picks. I gave him an A-. I don't know if I said that already. I went A- just because all 3 fill the need of defense, shooting, and leadership. Kuzma had to lead Utah and can be a stretch 4. Hart was a Naismith finalist and led Villanova for 4 years. And Bryant has a 7'6" wingspan, allowing defensive potential, can space the floor, and was a leader on the IU team that went up and down. So really, I love the Lakers draft. I'm really excited for the future, and I think all 4 picks really hit the nail on the head on what the Lakers are trying to do.
Yeah, I'll agree with Jason here. A-. Ball has star potential, and he is the second best player in the draft.
Better player than Marco, don't say that.
All right, whatever. Then I also had Kuzma. He was a bit of a reach, but Hart and Bryant were solid picks.
Yeah, I think Kuzma was early. If you really want him, maybe trade down. But at the same time, like we talked about when you're doing pre-draft stuff, like it's really just who's on your board higher and who's not. They worked out all these guys in their facility, so they knew what they were getting for sure.
Yeah, I give the Lakers an A. I like their picks. Kuzma, Hart, and Bryant all make sense for them. It does make more sense, I think, than the Sixers to draft these kind of later round guys. They still have more time to before they're gonna really contend. So I think that I like those picks, and Hart and Bryant really good in college. I think they'll be solid in the NBA.
I have 2 things to say real fast. One, just like going back to the Sixers, I think Kuzma, Hart, and Bryant make perfect sense for a team like the Sixers. They can play this year. Like those picks would make sense for me. if I'm drafting. Obviously, the picks and all that, but I just think in general, those type of players is what I was expecting from the Sixers. But my question for you, as since you're like an IU person, do you think Brian will be a good NBA player? I mean, I didn't see him much. All I saw was his 3-point contest on Hoosier Hysteria. Like, I didn't see much of him. Like, do you think he can be a good player?
I think he can be a stretch 4. He really needs to.
4, not 5.
Probably not.
Okay.
I don't think he's big enough for the
How
5.
tall is he?
Yeah, I don't.
6'11", I think.
So right on 6-7 foot. Okay.
I think he's gonna kind of struggle to find a role between the 4 and 5. I think he could be like a good center in a small ball lineup though, or if you're going big, Butch is kind of going away these days though. He could be a solid stretch 4 because he does have the shooting that can translate well to the NBA. I think.
I know I'm kind of putting you on the spot, but like, do you have like a player comparison for him? Like, I don't know. I'm trying to get like a feel of what he plays like. If not, no big. I just didn't like. I know it's on the spot, but
I don't know about a player comparison. Like what I hated that Tom Crean did, he played him way too much on the perimeter when he's bigger than a lot of college guys.
yeah.
But I think that'll be what his role is in the NBA, kind of just being a big guy in a small ball lineup and kind of being able to get out of the lane. Like if he was on the Cavs, I think he'd have a role there maybe because he could get out of the way and shoot if he needed to, but leave the lane open for guys like LeBron James and Kyrie Irving.
Yeah, I think okay. So he, as long as he can really shoot the ball, that's big. I think the Lakers are gonna. The
Lakers don't have a
top
stretch 4 right now. So.
Yeah, they'll be a top 5, top 6 fastest offense this year, and so they need someone that can shoot the ball at the big. Good stuff. All right, who's next, Dylan?
Celtics at number 3 traded down to get Jason Tatum. At 37, they picked Semi Ojeleye. At 53, got Kadeem Allen, and at 56, got Jabari Bird. Jason, what'd you think of those picks?
Okay, Tatum is who they reportedly wanted at number 1. They got future picks and still got their guy. I love Ojele's value at 37. I know both of me and Dylan talk about how much we like Ojele's game, but I don't. But I question Bird and Allen. It's getting repetitive, but I feel like it's they did what the Sixers they did what the Sixers should have done, and the Sixers did what the Celtics should have done. I thought the Celtics should have gone international. And because they're not really trying to develop, they've got their team. They can let those guys develop overseas. I don't understand the Allen and Bird pick because there were players like Hartenstein and Bolden and Brown and Lasort that were available at their picks that I feel like would have made a lot more sense and could have given them time to develop and not take up roster spots. So I went with an A-.
All right, I have a B+ for the Celtics. I think Jackson was the best player available here. I know he's like the same player as Brown, but if they're trying to get assets to trade, then I feel like they could have taken Jackson instead.
What do you mean he's the same player? Like Jaylen Brown?
Yeah, I mean he's about the same player.
Yeah, I mean they're both
Same
threes that are more
He can shoot.
defensive.
Jason Tatum can shoot the ball.
No, we're talking about Josh Jackson.
Talking about the Celtics.
I know.
Yeah, if they would have picked Josh Jackson at 3.
My fault. I thought you were talking about Tatum.
No,
I was like,
Jackson.
that doesn't make sense. Okay, sorry, my fault.
Yeah, and so I still give him a B+. They still got a top 5 player in the draft in Tatum.
I'm going to give them a B. I do not think they should have traded the number 1 pick. Markelle Fultz is just too good to pass up. But if they do want to contend this year, Jason Tatum's their guy. But the problem is, if they want to bring in Gordon Hayward and Paul George this offseason...
Tatum's gone if they get George, I think. Or Brown, one of the two.
But it just doesn't make sense if they wanted to keep him around, and because they all play the same position, even though he is the most NBA ready guy. So I guess it kind of does make sense if they don't get Hayward or George, but I think they're really aiming for that right now. Semi Ojeleye at 37, I do like, but I do think they should have gotten Markelle. He's just too big of a talent to pass up for me.
But then you're guard heavy for the Celtics. Like really,
But they're gonna lose them all. I mean,
Next
Isaiah
year.
Thomas, yeah. But
Yeah.
they're not aiming for this year, I don't think, unless they get Hayward and George.
But if they get Hayward and George, obviously the Pacers are going to want Jaylen Brown or Jason Tatum, like you pick. But I think one of them's gone. So then you got George and Hayward playing the 3 and 4, and then the other one just comes off the bench. I don't know. It's interesting. It's an interesting scenario for sure, having that many small fours that are all starting caliber 3s in the league. So the Celtics have a good dilemma on their hands.
All right, let's move on from the Celtics into the number 4 pick. The Phoenix Suns grabbed Josh Jackson at 4. Devon Reed at 32, and Alec Peters at 54.
Okay, so Jackson, I think it was a great pick for the Suns. It gives Booker a safety net for defense. He can finally take the best player instead of making Booker struggle every night defensively. Because if you watch the Suns, Booker got lit up offensively every night as he just could not keep up with their best player. Reed was a stretch for me. I thought he might have gone undrafted, honestly, but he went 32nd. I just did not understand reaching that high for a guy like that. And then I like the Peters pick. He provides depth at the bigs and can stretch the floor. So I just went with a B because I really liked the Josh Jackson pick, but the other two were question marks.
Yeah, I went with an A here. Phoenix, very happy that the Celtics passed on Tatum and got the third best player in the draft with Jackson. Devon Reed, like you said, he's a bit of a stretch, but Alec Peters, I think, is a solid pickup.
Yeah, I also have an A for the Suns. Josh Jackson just fits perfectly into that roster. Needing a 3 and needing someone to play defense. I mean, Booker
T.J.
and
Warren was there last year.
yeah, but I mean, is T.J.
He's a free
Warren
agent.
really your? Even if they do re-sign him, I mean, is he your long-term solution at 3?
I don't know. He played good last year. I don't know.
But I mean, they did need someone at the 3 to play some better defense with Bledsoe and Booker at the 1 and 2, not defensive stars. And Josh Jackson, just one of the best talents and probably the third best. Like Dan said, probably happy that the Celtics passed on him at 3. But like Jason said, Devon Reed I think is a little bit of a stretch, so I didn't give them an A+. But Josh Jackson is a good enough pick to make up for it.
All right. So, I don't know. I don't know. I thought the Reed one really brought him down. Dylan, who's next?
Kings at 5 grabbed De'Aaron Fox and traded their number 10 pick for Justin Jackson and Harry Giles at 15 and 20. Also at 34, it grabbed Frank Mason.
All right. I went with I think one or two teams got this high of a grade. I gave them an A, the highest grade I gave out. All the picks, they made sense. Fox is their point guard of the future. Jackson provides a reliable 3 and a replacement for Gay. And Giles and Mason give them boomer bust potential. I love all the picks they made, and Sacramento is finally headed in the right direction. They don't need Giles and Mason to be surefire prospects. I love that they got Giles because if he produces, he was a top 10 talent. I love the Frank Mason pick because I still don't understand why he was not a first round. I think he's got NBA potential. And Justin Jackson's like the perfect 3-and-D guy if he can develop that shot just a little bit more. So really, I love the Kings draft. I'm excited to watch him play in Sacramento, something I'm not used to saying.
Yeah, I have an A here for the Kings. Got a top 5 player in Fox, and then traded to move down. Got two underrated players in Jackson and Giles. If Giles can somehow hit a ceiling, then he could be one. This could be one of the best drafts of all time for the Kings. And then Mason was also a great pick in the second round.
I'm going to give the Kings a little bit lower than both of you guys. I'm going to go with a B+ because I did not like the trade. I think they should have kept 10 and drafted Malik Monk. I think they could.
Buddy Hield go?
I mean, you got to figure out a way. You got to draft the best player available.
Or get two guys that fit the mold. I don't know. I mean, because they got two needs.
At the beginning of the rebuild for the Kings, though, I mean, you can't be drafting for need.
But I mean, they've already got Hield. They've got Willie Cauley-Stein at the 5, and so you got a 2 and a 5. Now you just got to get a 1, 3, and 4, and I think that's what they did. Because now they got guys to develop around. If they're not their guys, okay, then you address that later. But I think they believe in Hield and Cauley-Stein as their guys to build on. I don't know.
I just thought Monk was. I would rather have Monk personally than Jackson and Giles. So I don't like the trade, but I do love the Fox and Mason at 5 and 34.
Yeah. All right, the Magic. We got Jonathan Isaac and Wesley Iwundu at 33. I gave him a B-. The Magic went best player available, but Isaac is a project and he isn't ready to play yet. He needs development, and the Magic really don't have time to develop him because they need somebody that's going to kind of be able to play and start to get some fans excited in Orlando. But really, he's a prospect they're going to have to hope works out because if not, they have to keep going back to square one, which they keep doing year in and year out.
Yep, I went with a B- also. I'm also not a huge fan of Isaac. I think he's still a top 10 player in the draft. Athletic freak, but they could have gotten a better player in my opinion. Iwundu is also just another player that can't shoot like Isaac.
Who do you think was the better player they could have got?
I don't know, Monk,
Yeah,
Smith.
I was
don't
thinking
know.
somebody like Monk just to like because I feel like the Magic need an identity. They don't have an identity. I feel like when
Yeah,
you
not
look
at
at
all.
them, I thought them and the Kings going into the draft were the two teams. You look at them and I'm like, what do they do? Like what are they known for? And I feel like the Kings solved that, and now the Magic I still don't know.
Yeah, I'm not a fan. I gave them a C, actually. I'm not a fan of Isaac at all. I think they could have traded down and got Monk, got another asset or another pick, and they could have traded all the way down to 10 maybe. If somebody like the Blazers at 10 or the Kings who had the 10th pick wanted to move up. So I wasn't really a big fan of Isaac Owundu. I think he could have gone a little later too. So I'm not a big fan of this Magic draft.
Yeah, I agree. All right, the first interesting pick, the Bulls. The first six are pretty what everyone expected, but number 7, the Bulls trading Jimmy Butler away for Chris Dunn, Zach LaVine, and the 16th pick. And so Jimmy Butler becomes a Timberwolf. I gave the Bulls a D. The Bulls finally hit the rebuild button, but they did not get much back, so I can't be happy, and I would not be happy if I was a Bulls fan. They got a second-year point guard that struggled and done, Levine, who has injury history, and then Markkanen. There had to be better offers for a top 15 player in the league.
I went with a B plus on this one, actually. It's not as bad of a trade, in my opinion. I think if you wait longer, then you can maybe end up in a situation like the Pacers with George this year.
Yeah, I'm not too low on the trade, but I still gave the Bulls an F because I am not a big fan of Markkanen. And they in the trade, the only part I didn't like for the Bulls is that they gave back 16 in exchange for 7 to the Timberwolves, which they got to pick at 16. I wasn't a fan of that. And also in the second round, they sold Jordan Bell to the Warriors. Jordan Bell, a first round talent, and you're just selling him to the Warriors, somebody that the Bulls could have used, and they're in rebuild mode now. So why would they not take on a first round talent in Jordan Bell and instead of selling him to the best team in the league?
You guys thought the trade wasn't that bad? I didn't care about the Bell thing. I didn't care about the Markkanen pick. It was all about the trade. I thought the trade was terrible.
I mean, obviously, but they're not going to get equal return for Jimmy
They're
Butler.
not going to get equal, but there had to be better. You're telling me the Celtics didn't offer something better than Dunn, who played terribly
Danny
last year?
Ainge is crazy about his draft picks.
Yeah.
Somebody. You're telling me nobody wanted you. The Cavs didn't work a three-way deal.
The Cavs don't have
I'd take
anybody.
Kevin Love and something else more than that.
I would not.
Chris Dunn played terribly last year. Zach LaVine already has gotten hurt 2 or 3 times. And Markkanen, you already have Mirotic. You already have Robin Lopez. When the heck is he going to play?
I mean, Mirotic is a free agent.
You have to resign him. You cannot let that guy go.
Yeah, I don't think you do either, but he is a free agent and he could
He's
go
restricted.
somewhere else. I mean, what if someone gives him the max?
I mean, they won't. But
The kid just re-sign him.
I don't know. I just like the Markkanen pick. I guess doesn't make sense. Like at least get Malik Monk at 7 or Dennis Smith to replace Jimmy Butler. But instead, now you've got a lot of big guys. Chris Dunn, who, like I said, played terribly, and a guy that has already injury history. The trade just made 0 sense to me, and they gave up just outside of a lottery pick. I just didn't.
Yeah,
understand it.
that's the only part I didn't really hate, or I did hate about the trade for the Bulls.
But you said Dunn and Levine were fine.
I'm still a fan of Dunn. I think he played bad, but Tom Thibodeau isn't really a guy that plays rookies a lot or really puts them in the best positions to kind of develop them.
I mean, he coached D Rose to his MVP year.
Yeah, but I mean, it wasn't like Rose was an all-star his rookie year or anything.
Yeah.
So I didn't think the trade was that bad, but just the 2 picks and Markkanen and giving up Bell, I was not a big fan of. But anyway, let's move on to the Knicks, who picked at number 8. They got Frank Ntilikina at number 8, Damian Dotson at 44, and Ogden Jaramez at 58. Jason, what'd you think of that?
I give him a C. The Knicks are a mess right now. No one knows what's going to happen with Porzingis and Phil Jackson. But either way, they took Ntilikina over Dennis Smith Jr., Malik Monk, Zach Collins, and more. Smith can at least make fans interested again in New York basketball. All 3 picks don't really help the team figure out their identity. Unlike the Kings' fantastic draft, now I feel like the Knicks kind of replaced the Kings as that team that doesn't have an identity. The Kings had picks and made safe, smart picks. the Knicks had picks and went very boomer bust, and that's not what the fan base needs. When I was at the draft, I sat in front of like 3 or 4 Knicks fans, and they all were very mad, to keep it PG, when they picked Ntilikina over Smith, Monk, and other players. It was average because I think Dotson can shoot, but really all three of them don't help the Knicks figure out what direction they're going in.
Yep, not a good draft for the Knicks. I gave him a C. Got maybe the best defender in the draft, but could have got the best shooter or a much better player than him. And Monk and Smith are much better players than Ntilikina and will have much better careers.
I think Monk and Porzingis would be fun together.
Oh,
or
yeah.
Smith and Porzingis. Like, that'd be so fun to watch.
Yeah, I'm not a huge hater on Ntilikina at 8. I gave him a B minus because I don't hate him that much. I mean, he's going to be a great defender at least. He has at least that floor because he has a 6'5" height and a 7-foot wingspan as a point guard. That's just insane.
I guess I'm looking at it from the sense of now. Maybe in the future he'll be your starting point guard.
I mean,
But find that later. He's not going to be a guy that averages 20. He's not going to. I don't think he'll average double digits in his career. And the Knicks need scoring, especially get rid of Melo. If he stays, I don't know what they're going to do. But once you get rid of Melo, now you've got no one to score the ball but Porzingis. You're not going to rely on Courtney Lee to average 20 a game.
I mean, I think it's tank time for the Knicks.
Not
Well,
tank time.
Don't you
rebuild
think they should have
time.
taken Smith
Or Monk. Someone that
I
can at least
do,
put
but
offense.
I think that Ntilikina is at least a little
still
bit
top.
below
I
them.
think
He's-
Ntilikina is a guy you get in 2 years from now and you're just one piece away. In my opinion. You get a point guard that can maybe develop into a guy, but at least he played defense. I don't think he's a good player for the start of a rebuild, in my opinion. I prefer a guy like the Lakers and James Russell. Timberwolves went Karl Anthony Towns. A guy that'll at least score the ball and get fans excited. Because that's a big part of rebuild, is getting people excited and like want to watch the future.
Yeah, I think, yeah, definitely. But I think they are the Knicks, though, and they're going to
Yeah,
sell tickets whoever they draft.
yeah,
That's true.
But let's move on to the Mavs at 9. They only had one pick, and they grabbed Dennis Smith Jr. Jason, are you a fan of Dennis Smith?
I am actually. I love the pick for the Mavericks. They got an explosive one who can play now and develop. I compared him to a Derrick Rose type player when he had his MVP year. I think Smith is going to get the fan base excited and hopefully start to be the new cornerstone for the Mavs. Great player, great pick, but the only thing that kept him from an A minus was just I would have liked him to trade and get one more pick to help that rebuild, maybe like a 3 or 4 position to help get Dirk's replacement. But Dan, you're the real Mavs fan. Tell us what you think about the pick.
I have a B plus here for the Mavs. If Ntilikina was there, they probably would have taken him. So I'm very happy the Knicks took him before that pick. And Smith, very explosive player, can get to the rim. And Mavs got a steal at 9.
Yeah, I mean, he was going top 3 early in mock drafts. I think
Yes,
it was a
he
big
was.
steal at 9.
He
Yeah,
was.
and
Yeah.
in a normal draft, he could have been at.
He would have been number 1 or 2 for sure.
Oh yeah.
Like last year, I think he's up there with Simmons.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Definitely.
I gave them an A. I think they got lucky that Ntilikina went at 8. Apparently, they just loved him. They hired his AAU coach as their summer league coach in
That's gonna be so
preparation.
awkward.
Yeah.
I hope the Mavs and Knicks play so bad. That's so awkward.
Yeah, they were just completely prepared to get Ntilikina, but I think they lucked out, and Dennis Smith Jr. is the better prospect to me. So let's move on to 10. The Blazers traded their 15th and 20th picks to get up to number 10 and drafted Zach Collins, and they had one more pick at 26 and grabbed Caleb Swanigan. Jason, what did you think of that?
I am a B plus. I like the draft. The Blazers have one of the best backcourts in a starting caliber center. Collins and Swanigan can both shoot and shoot well enough to play the stretch 4 and 5 if necessary. I think Collins will be the starting 4 and Swanigan will be a rotation piece. Good, solid draft by the Blazers. I think that gives you a pretty good lineup of Lillard, McCollum, whoever you want at 3, whether it's Crabbe, Turner, whatever, Harkless, and then Collins and Nurkic. I mean, I like that team, and Swanigan will come in and rotate and get some good minutes. I liked going stretch 4 and 5s in the draft because they needed more shooters that Lillard and McCollum can get the ball to, and now there's only a question mark with the 3 instead of 3 and 4.
Yep, I gave him a B here. Got a top 10, top 11 player in the draft in Collins. Can't go wrong with Collins here. And Swanigan, maybe a bit of a reach at 26, but he's still a solid talent.
Yeah, the Blazers, like Jason said, with one of the best backcourts in the league, grabbed two guys that can help him in the front court. Now the next step is just to shed that salary and try and get under the cap so they can, I guess, have a year. I mean, they can't.
I'd try to get rid of Turner and Crab and try to make a play at Rudy Gay, just to give you a starting three.
I mean, what do you have to give up to get rid of Crab and
One of them, not both.
Turner, though?
One. I think you keep Crab, get rid of Turner. Turner would generate some trade value, I feel like.
I don't know. I
He
mean,
was at the deadline, I remember.
I still think that they have to give something up with and get someone to take on his
Like who?
contract.
Swanigan?
Maybe.
Like Swanigan and Turner? Yeah, I don't know.
All right, but let's move on to number 11 now. The Hornets grabbed Malik Monk at 11, and if you guys watched the Hornets press conference, Dwayne Bacon at 40 was apparently Dwayne Wade, according to the Hornets GM. So I guess he's a steal, but we'll have to find out. Jason, what'd you think?
I gave him an A minus. The Hornets got the biggest deal of the draft from Malik Monk. Pretty obvious. Best scorer, best shooter in the class. I love their draft. Also getting Dwayne Bacon. He was supposed to be a first rounder early in the draft process. He was like a mid 15, 30 pick, like mid first round. And so the Hornets drafted very well and now should be a playoff team with a lineup of Kemba, Malik Monk, Nick Batum, Cody Zeller, and Dwight Howard.
Yeah, I gave the Hornets an A here. Got super lucky and got Monk at 11. Best shooter in the draft, and unlike a lot of prospects, you know what you're getting with him. And also a great college player, and Dwayne Bacon at 40.
Yeah, I gave the Hornets an A. I love this draft. Malik Monk, like Jason said, one of the biggest steals. And if Dwayne Bacon can turn out to be Dwayne Wade, they're set forever. I like what the Hornets are doing, though. Getting the Dwight Howard move and now Malik Monk. They're looking good next year. I think they could be a 5 or 6 seed in the East.
Yeah, I agree. I think they could be right under the. I think, yeah, 5 is the highest they could go. I don't think they'll go to the Cavs, Celtics, Wizards, or Raptors, but right under that.
All right, so the Pistons picked at number 12. They grabbed Luke Kennard. Jason, what'd you think?
I gave him a B. I liked Kennard. I think he's a good pick for the Pistons. It fills a need of shooting and a potential KCP replacement. Only reason it wasn't an A because Donovan Mitchell was available, and most people had him higher on their draft board. This isn't a sexy pick, but I think it's the right pick.
Yeah, I also gave him a B here. Got one of the two top players available at 12. Kennard is a great scorer, and he will be in the NBA.
That makes 3 Bs for us. I'm not a huge Luke Kennard guy, but I think he'll find a role similar to J.J. Redick in the NBA. But let's move to the 13th pick. The Jazz made a trade up to 13. They gave up the 24th pick along with Trey Lyles to move up and pick Donovan Mitchell. Then they made another trade later. They gave up the 30th and 42nd picks to the Lakers for number 28, where they selected Tony Bradley. And with the 55th pick, they drafted Nigel Williams-Goss. Jason, what'd you think about those picks?
I loved it. I gave him an A-. I thought the Jazz, low-key had a great draft. No one's talking about it, but they got a freak athlete with tons of potential and a prospect center who could develop into a stud. I love Tony Bradley. Williams-Goss gives them leadership and winning mentality, but a prospect they can try and groom. I love their draft this year, and I really like the Mitchell pick.
Yeah, I gave him a B here. Mitchell, great player. There was a big drop-off in talent after the 13th pick, so they should be very happy they got to the 13. Bradley is also a very underrated player and great pick at 28.
I gave them an A. I think they absolutely got a steal in the trade, 13 for the 24th pick and Trey Lyles. I love Donovan Mitchell, and I think they got great value in that. But I was not a fan of trading up 2 picks for Tony Bradley and giving up the 42nd pick.
Really?
Just the chances that you get a good pick at 30 and 42, I'd rather have 2 shots at it than 1.
I think Bradley, though, would be I think they might have thought the same way I do. I think Bradley could be a top 10 center in the league when he develops. I thought he showed flashes of greatness at UNC, and if they really believe that, you got to go get him. So I think the Lakers would take him if they didn't trade him.
All right, and at 55, I did like the Nigel Williams-Goss pick. Great college player and has some potential, has some pretty solid size. But let's move into 14. The Heat grabbed Bam Adebayo at the 14th pick. their only selection of the draft. Jason, what do you think about that one?
I gave him a C minus. The Heat must have had Bam high on their draft board to take him at the end of the lottery. I was not a fan of the pick because the lottery pick is so highly coveted. They could have even just traded down like 2 or 3 spots if they wanted to guarantee getting him. With only one pick, I did not like the Heat's move on draft night, and I'm not sure it brought him any closer to the playoffs.
Yeah, I do not like the pick. I gave him a D plus. I don't think they could have done worse. You get a lottery pick at 14 and pick a late first, early second round talent. Terrible.
Yeah, Dan talked about in the last pick that there's a talent drop off after number 13. So the 14th spot is not a spot that you want to look at being at. So I do like the pick in Bam Adebayo. I think he'll be a solid player. But I also gave them a C minus because you could have traded back a lot and maybe grabbed a second round pick either this year or in the future and could have grabbed Bam Adebayo too. So in terms of value, I don't like it, but I do like Bam Adebayo as an NBA prospect. But let's move into 15. The Timberwolves at the 16th selection grabbed Justin Patton. Jason, what do you think about Patton?
With the Timberwolves, I gave them an A plus. Not even talking about Patton. The Timberwolves got a top 15 player in the league and a first round pick for 2 underwhelming players and a pick 9 spots higher. The Wolves had the best draft night of anyone, and they got a center that could be the starter on a great team in a few years. If Patton develops, I'm terrified to play a team that has Rubio as your point guard and then Butler, Wiggins, Towns, and Patton. That's a scary team.
Yeah, and great trade. Get Butler and a trade that gives them a big 3 for the future. But in terms of the draft, I gave them a B. Got one of the best players available with Patton.
Yeah, I gave them a B for the pick and Justin Patton, but an A for the trade. Like I talked about from the Bulls' perspective, I hated that the Bulls gave up 16 in the trade too, but I think the Timberwolves got an absolute steal getting 16 back and were able to get another guy that can help them in the future in Patton.
Obviously, you're never gonna know, but I wonder if the Bulls even thought about getting the 16th, giving up the 16th pick. I wonder if they were like, "Oh yeah, that's a good deal," or if they were like, "I want to keep it," and there was just no way to do it. I just wonder in the talks, did they want to give up 6? Were they okay giving up 16? Was it more of they had to give up 16? I don't know. I'm curious about it.
Yeah, the Bulls with some interesting moves in terms of draft pick trading like that because at the trade deadline, if you remember, when they grabbed Joffrey Laverne and Cameron Payne, they gave up a second round pick along with Taj Gibson and someone else in the trade. But it just seems like when I look at the trade, they shouldn't be giving up the second round pick. I mean, Taj Gibson's a solid player and he helped the Thunder a lot.
They also gave up 2 when they gave up Mike Dunleavy. Okay, I'm trying to remember. It was a 3-team trade. They sent Mike Dunleavy to the Cavs, Jose Calderon, and 2 second-round picks to the Lakers last year to clear space for Dwayne Wade. They sent us 2 second-round picks in 2018. And so, yeah, I mean, they just keep dealing out picks.
Yeah, apparently they don't think those second-round picks just have any value, I guess. But let's move into the 17th pick where the Bucks grabbed DJ Wilson. Jason, did you like that one?
I did not. I went C minus. Similar to the Heat, they had only 1 pick, and they reached for a guy they could have easily traded down for. Wilson was supposed to go early to mid-20s, so I would have called a team like the Nets or the Thunder and tried to trade down. Big reach for a team trying to get to the playoffs. Wilson also isn't ready to play this year.
I gave the Bucks a C plus. I like DJ Wilson, but he should not go this early at 17. I think he'll be a great role player in the NBA. But I feel like they could have gone with someone that they actually knew what they were getting.
Yeah, I agree with Dan. I gave them a D. I just do not like DJ Wilson in terms of value or trying to compete now as the Bucks need to do, at least in a few years. I don't think DJ Wilson will be ready to really contribute on a Bucks team that's in the playoffs for the next few years. But let's move into the Pacers pick now. They grabbed TJ Leaf at 18, Ike Anigbogu at 47, and bought a pick at 52 and grabbed Edmund Sumner. Jason, what'd you think?
I gave him a B minus. I mean, I'll let you talk about it as the only Pacer fan here, as Michael and Zach aren't with us. But really, I'm just not high on Leaf or Ike Anigbogu, as I think they're hard to read because they had a great point guard in Lonzo. I think they got good value in Ike, but due to his fall in the draft, I really thought the draft was average for the Pacers. but I gave them a B minus just because they got that, I guess, good value.
I gave the Pacers a B plus. I think Leaf is a great pick at 18. He'll be a good role player in the NBA that could end up being an all right starter one day. Ike Anigbogu, fell pretty far, and the Pacers got a great second round talent in him. Could have done something with Paul George, and they didn't. So,
Well, they didn't make that trade, so I'm just going to talk about the draft. I gave the Pacers an A minus. I don't love Leaf, and that's the only reason I didn't give them an A plus, because I like John Collins more. I'll talk about in the next pick for the Hawks. But Ike Anigbogu in Chad Ford's latest mock draft before the draft, he had Anigbogu going to the Pacers at 18. He fell all the way to 47, and the Pacers got great value there. A guy with a lot of potential to be a center, maybe play next to Miles Turner or behind him.
I don't like EK at all. I think Leaf's okay, but I just don't think Anugogo will do anything special. But I agree it's good value.
And then I like the buying the pick for Sumner, a guy with solid athleticism. Did get the injury last year at Xavier, but if he didn't have that, he could have been a first-round talent.
Yeah, I mean, they only gave him $1 million. I think it was like $1.1 million for Sumner, and I think he was supposed to go first round even with the injury early, and just fell and fell and fell. So yeah, I think all three picks. I think the three picks were good value. I just don't know if they really make sense, and that's why I gave them a B minus. But yeah.
All right, let's move into the Hawks, who had 3 selections. At 19, they grabbed John Collins. 41, grabbed Tyler Dorsey. And at 60, grabbed Alpha Kaba.
I know Dylan is very high on Collins. I am not. I don't know if he'll find any consistency or true position in the NBA. The Hawks are just in a weird situation. They traded away Dwight Howard for nothing. They're going to lose Millsap in free agency. And there's just a lot of question marks for the Hawks right now, and the draft didn't help answer those.
I gave the Hawks a B here. Collins was one of the best available here, and he could end up being a starter for them in the future.
Yeah, I gave them an A because I do love Collins. I think he can be a replacement for Paul Millsap, and I see Blake Griffin and John Collins, and I really like him. Tyler Dorsey I also liked at 41. He's a solid player, had a great March, and helped lead Oregon to the Final Four. But let's move into the Thunder, picking number 21, their only selection of the night, and grabbed Terrence Ferguson. Jason, what'd you think?
Yeah, I mean, we talked about it before the mock draft we put out Wednesday, and I said the Thunder should go Terrence Ferguson if he's there. I know some of you guys disagree with me, so I like the pick. I think he's a very offensive player. He doesn't have much of a defensive game, but he can score the ball. And Westbrook finally has someone who can help him score. And between Ferguson and Oladipo, they finally get the solid 2 guard. If you can combine them together, you got a good 2.
Yeah, I got a B plus for the Thunder. Ferguson is a great pick here, and is the right pick for OKC. Hopefully, he could end up giving Westbrook some help in the near future.
I have a B plus also for the Thunder. I do like the fit in Ferguson, but he will not be ready for a little while. Still young and still doesn't have a NBA ready body, so I think he'll take a few years to develop. But the kind of game that he has now would really help the Thunder. So the Nets at 22 grabbed Jarrett Allen, and at 57 grabbed Alexander Bezinkoff. And so, Jason, what did you think of that?
Well, I didn't factor in the D'Angelo Russell trade because even though it was officially made official on draft night, it happened before. So I went with a C minus. I like Jarrett Allen. He'll come in and play huge minutes for the Nets. I was just completely disappointed in the Nets, and they went international at pick 57. At least get somebody that can take up a roster spot and develop on your own team. Get him into your coaching with a guy that's great with young guys and Kenny Atkinson. I don't know. I just really thought somebody like Jaren Blossom game, or really just anybody that went undrafted that could play now, at least get them in your system instead of a guy like Vezinkov who you're just not going to see for another 2-3 years.
Yeah, I gave the Nets a C here. The Nets needed guys that are good at basketball right now and could be later. I don't think the Nets can develop Allen enough with being so much of a project.
I gave them a B, a little bit higher than both of you guys, because Allen is a project, but he'll get lots of time to develop on this terrible Nets squad, especially since they just traded away Brook Lopez.
But they got an even better player in D'Angelo. They're not that bad.
They're not that bad.
They're not going to. I'm telling you, they're going to be the second worst team. Someone's going to be worse this year.
Oh, wow.
The Magic are going to be
Wow,
worse.
they're not that bad. Second worst team.
Hey, D'Lo's going to carry him to not being the worst anymore.
Wow, what an accomplishment for D'Angelo Russell.
I would be happy.
But let's move into the Raptors. At 23, only one pick and grabbed OG Anunoby. Jason, what do you think of that one?
I gave him an A-. I love the pick. The Raptors got their need of a 3 and with great value. They went best player available and a need. OG was a borderline top 10 pick before the injury, and if he gets back to normal, the Raptors got a steal.
I gave the Raptors a B+ here. OG fell pretty far to 23, and Toronto got a lottery talent here. If he pans out, then this was a great pick.
Yeah, I gave them an A+ because I love my guy, OG. He'll be a great 3 in the NBA, and if the Raptors can re-sign Kyle Lowry and DeMar DeRozan, he doesn't have to worry about the scoring. He still has plenty of time to develop that, and could replace DeMarre Carroll or PJ Tucker as the Raptors' number 1-3 sometime soon. But let's move into the Nuggets, who made a trade down. They had a 13th pick, but gave it up for Tyler Lydon, who they selected at 24, and also got Trey Lyles. At 49, they got Vlatko Cansar, and at 51, grabbed Monty Morris. Jason, what did you think of the Nuggets draft?
I gave them my lowest grade along with the Bulls of a D. The Nuggets made a very questionable trade. They're only a few pieces away from playoffs, and they traded away Donovan Mitchell for 2 developmental pieces. That made no sense unless they believe it's time to rebuild. I was just confused all draft night by the Nuggets.
Yeah, I also gave him a D here. Could have gotten Donovan Mitchell, but instead got Tyler Lydon at 24.
I gave them an F. I just completely do not understand the trade at all. Like Dan said earlier, and I mentioned too, the talent drop-off after number 13. You had the last pick of that at number 13, and one guy left in Donovan Mitchell. Why do you not grab him instead of trading for Tyler Lydon, who could be a solid 3-and-D prospect maybe sometime later, and Trey Lyles, who averaged 6 points a game last year? Just makes no sense to me. But let's talk about the Spurs now. Grabbed Derek White at 29 and Jaron Blossomgame at 59. Spurs always a great team at drafting some steals late, as they're always late in the draft because they're always successful. Jason, what do you think about those picks?
I like the White pick by the Spurs. He can come in and learn under Pop until Ginobili and Parker retire. Blossomgame is a question mark, as most number 59 picks are. But a good draft for the Spurs because we know it'll probably pan out because Popovich is coaching.
Yep, I gave the Spurs a B here. During the draft, I was thinking it really doesn't matter who they're going to take at 29. Whoever it is will pan out. Pop will develop White, and he will become a great role player for them.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think Derek White's any Hall of Famer, as everyone was saying during the draft, just because the Spurs drafted him. But I do get.
Who said he was a Hall of Famer?
I mean, everyone's just talking about that because the Spurs drafted him. He's going to be some sort of great player.
I got you.
But I do give them a B+. I think Derek White, I do like him. He's a good combo guard that can learn under Tony Parker and can eventually be a replacement for him in the future. But let's move into teams that only had second-round picks now. The Pelicans got Frank Jackson at 31. Jason, what did you think about that?
I gave him a C. An average pick for the Pelicans. It gave them help at the guard spot, which they needed. But I'm not sure it's anything earth-shattering. With only one second-round pick, it was the definition of an average draft night.
Yeah, I gave the Pelicans a C+ here. Out of all the first-round talent still there, I'm not sure why they took Jackson. There were better players there.
I gave them a B. I don't hate it. I mean, someone that can help out and back up or maybe replace Drew Holiday if he leaves in free agency. But the Grizzlies at 35 grabbed Ivan Rabb, and 45 grabbed Dylan Brooks. 2 second-round picks for the Grizzlies. Jason, did you like them?
Yeah, I did. I liked the Rab pick. He was a lottery pick last year, but then went back to work on his basketball IQ. I think he'll fit nicely with the Grizzlies, as will Dylan Brooks. Both guys that were first-round picks last year, but went back.
I gave the Grizzlies a B here. Got two solid players right now with Rab and Brooks, but neither honestly have much potential, so they will be nothing special.
I mean, that's the definition of the Grizzlies. They just get guys that are ready to play. They'll be like the 6 or 7 seed and then lose to the Spurs in the playoffs. They do the same thing every year.
Yeah, and it's always the Spurs too. Crazy. But I do like the picks, though. 2 first-round talents in the second round for the Grizzlies. I gave them an A. But the Warriors traded into the draft, bought a second-round pick from the Bulls at 38, and grabbed Jordan Bell. Jason, did you like that move?
You know I like that. He might be my second favorite player in the draft. I love his game, and I think he could be a steal. The Warriors bought the 38th pick again, and McCaw worked out this year, and I think they hit the gold mine again with pick 38.
Yeah, I gave the Warriors a B here. Didn't have to spend much money with a great bench player for next year.
That was a lot of money.
Yeah,
for a
3.5
million.
That was the max they could have given out for that.
I mean, I think it was worth it for Bell, but not with a team that you already are low on salary cap. But I love the pick still. I'm just saying in general, like it was.
That comes out of the owner's pocket, though. That's not out of the salary cap.
That's not a salary cap?
Yeah, the owner buys those picks.
That was a smart buy by the owner.
Yeah, I gave them an A+ because Jordan Bell is a first-round talent and can come in next year and possibly play the center in the Warriors' death lineup.
That would be so fun to watch. All right, the Clippers. Juwan Evans and Sindarius Thornwell at 39 and 48. Dylan, you want to do the honors here?
Sure, I gave the Clippers an A. The Clippers also didn't have a draft pick, but bought 2 picks in the draft. Juwan Evans at 39, also a first-round talent, and could end up being a steal, one of the best pick-and-roll point guards in the draft. And Sindarius Thornwell had a super hot March with the Gamecocks, leading them to the Final Four, and I think he could be a solid 2-guard in the NBA.
I went B+. Evans has gotten comparisons to CP3, and if CP3 leaves, he could be the point guard of the future. Thornwell gives them depth and defense at their weakest position. Good picks, and that's why I like him with a B+.
I gave the Clippers a B here. Great job to get themselves into the draft. They need to get younger because, honestly, they won't win a title with the roster they have now.
And the last team to make a draft pick in the draft, the Rockets, grabbed Isaiah Hartenstein at 43. Jason, did you like that pick?
I gave him a B+. Great value at 43 for someone I had as a top 30 prospect and in the first round. I don't know if he fits in Houston, but he can play overseas and develop.
I have an A- here for the Rockets. Hardenstein was projected to go late first round. This is a great pick this late in the draft.
Yeah, I'm going to give them an A-. Really good value for Hartenstein at 43. I don't think the fit really matters because I think he could stay overseas for a couple years and really develop and at least be a solid trade piece.
All right, so what's coming up next for the sports sermon? We apologize for a little bit of a break we took, but we're back. We've got, we've got this posted today. We've got the Titans posted on Thursday, and then we're going to go some Jacksonville Jaguars along with some free agency previews, and we're going to go division by division and go more in-depth into the draft.
Yeah, thank you guys for listening, and if you enjoyed, make sure you hit that like button. If you want to see the rest of our NBA offseason coverage, including free agency now, as we'll move more into that later, make sure you hit that subscribe button to see all of our future content. And also, click the link in the description to get to our Twitter account. Make sure you follow that. We will post on there every time we post a new article on our website or a new video. So thank you guys for listening, and we will see you tomorrow with the Titans.